Sundays used to carry a rhythm, a sacred pulse that resonated throughout every small town and every bustling city. In 1955, the day held a unique charm that seems almost lost in our modern rush. Can you hear that faint echo of church bells in the distance? It's a sound that brought a comforting stillness over neighborhoods, marking the arrival of a day that belonged to family and reflection. Let's take a nostalgic stroll down memory lane and explore 9 things about Sundays that were completely different in 1955. First, imagine a Sunday where the world slowed down to a halt. By law, most businesses remained closed, with the exception of a few corner stores, many of which were run by families who embraced the spirit of the day. Most towns were quiet, the streets empty except for the occasional car, gliding peacefully down the avenue. You remember that, don't you? A sense of respect lingered in the air, as if the day itself were a sanctuary, encouraging families to stay together at home and nurture their bonds. Next on our list is the tradition of dressing in Sunday best. Oh, the joy of slipping into those crisp, freshly ironed clothes. Children wore their finest outfits, which often meant little boys in tailored suits and girls in pretty dresses adorned with lace and ribbons. You can almost feel the scratch of the new shoes against your ankles, reminder that anyone who stepped out of their home that day was showing they belonged to their family, their church, or their community. Parents fussed over every detail, from neatly combed hair to polished shoes that shone bright in the afternoon sun. At the heart of Sundays was the grand family dinner, a ritual that took place right around 2 in the afternoon. This wasn't simply a meal, it was a gathering, where aromas of roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans filled the air, wafting through open windows. If you sat at the table long enough, you could hear stories and laughter mingle with the sounds of clinking silverware and the occasional burst of youthful giggles from the children, who might be caught sneaking bites of pie before dinner was served. Doesn't that just bring a smile? The dinner table wasn't just about food, it was about love woven into every bite, a celebration of togetherness that fortified the family spirit. Now, let's take a moment to relish in the beloved Sunday drive. There was something magical about getting into the family car with no real destination in mind. The open road called to families, inviting them to explore the countryside, or perhaps just to take in the familiarity of the neighborhoods they traveled through. You can hear the wind rushing through the open windows, carrying with it the scent of fresh grass, wildflowers, and sometimes even the distant sound of a banjo or a fiddle from a neighbor's porch. The destinations didn't matter, but the time spent together certainly did. As your family rolled down Route 66, or any number of winding roads, every mile held a memory waiting to be made. Fifth on our nostalgic journey, let's not forget the custom of visiting relatives unannounced. It was, perhaps, the most spontaneous of Sunday rituals. The idea of just stopping by Grandma's house or an aunt's place without a call in advance was perfectly normal. Doors were left unlocked, and the welcome mat was always out. You could almost taste the sweet lemonade or fresh-baked cookies waiting at the kitchen table, not to mention the warm hugs and stories shared over the clattering of cups. Can you picture it? An open door meant open hearts, a world where connections mattered more than schedules or timed appointments. Next, we venture into the lighter side of Sunday afternoons, the funny papers sprawled across the living room floor. Can you feel the soft rustle of the pages? Families gathered around, laughter filling the house as they shared their favorite comic strips. Peanuts, Popeye, or perhaps a few misadventures of Dagwood and Blondie always sparked joy. Children sprawled on the floor, half awake from a Sunday afternoon nap, found delight in reading silly jokes and plots that brought giggles to life. The Sunday newspaper wasn't just ink on paper, it was the lifeblood of weekend enjoyment, a sprinkle of happiness between family members that brought everyone together. As the sun began to set, the day drew closer to its end, but not without the soothing sound of church bells. Their melodic ringing echoed throughout towns, a reminder of community and faith, and one that everyone could hear across the streets. The bells seemed to call everyone back together, whether for evening service or simply to take a moment of gratitude towards the end of the day. Each toll reverberated a sense of peace, a gentle way to pause and reflect. You can almost feel that calm wash over the entire country, couldn't you? each ring a thread tying communities in shared purpose. Now, let's talk about the meticulous grooming of children on Sundays. Before stepping out into the world, kids' hair was often combed with water. This little ritual made every kid feel special. The gentle splash of water against the scalp, followed by careful combing, transformed a just-out-of-bed look into something presentable and fresh. You can almost see a dad holding the comb and a bottle, determined to ensure every strand was in its place. There was love in that brushstroke, a commitment to shining brightest on a day meant for family. Finally, the most cherished aspect of Sundays in 1955 was a collective quiet, a day in which the entire country seemed to rest. There was an unspoken agreement to lay down the hustle, a gentle pause that stretched from shore to shore. From the bustling cities to the serene countryside, Sundays were peaceful, a moment to breathe, to reflect, and simply to be. This sense of calm created an aura of unity across the nation that we often overlook today. In a world where everyone took the time to reflect, we fostered a sense of connection, both to ourselves and to each other. As we reach the end of this journey, I invite you to rekindle those cherished memories from your own life, those Sunday gatherings, quiet afternoons, and the playful activities that once filled your days with a sweet nostalgia. What stories do you remember most fondly? Share them in the comments below, won't you? Let's keep this beautiful tapestry of shared experiences alive. In 1955, Sundays weren't merely another day of the week. They were a testament to simplicity, community, and family. Although the specifics of those moments may have changed through the years, the essence of gathering remains within our hearts. So let us take a moment, even today, to embrace a little of that Sunday spirit, finding time to pause, to appreciate, and to share love. As we delve deeper into the Sunday memories of 1955, let's lean into some of the lesser-known traditions that made those days so special. Each small ritual was a thread woven into the fabric of our lives, each one a story waiting to be told. Did you ever notice the neighborhoods transformed come Sunday? Mornings were often greeted with the faint aromas wafting from open windows, freshly baked cinnamon rolls, or that rich, hearty smell of a pot roast slowly coming to life in the oven. Friendly waves exchanged between neighbors weren't just polite gestures, they were affirmations of community. You remember the smiles that transcended shared fences, don't you? "Good morning" rang out like the church bells, ushering in the spirit of togetherness that was palpable in every small town. You could always count on seeing parked cars lined up outside church, whether it was a small white steeple church with wooden pews or a grander establishment with stained glass that arced toward the heavens. Families would gather outside, swapping pleasantries, catching up on local news or latest happenings in each other's lives. Youngsters, fidgety with anticipation, vied for their parents' attention, dying to share the latest adventure or a funny moment that happened during the week. And when the service wrapped up, the air would fill with a newfound energy, a sense of upliftment and hope that seemed to dance through the streets. After the service, it was not uncommon for friends and neighbors to linger outside, enveloped in the warmth of the sun on their faces. Children played hops on the concrete sidewalks, drawing with chalk while parents exchanged recipes or stories about their latest family trips. This was the intersection where lives collided, where you saw not just familiar faces but friends, mentors, and sometimes even old flames. You could feel the laughter rippling through the air, a sound that echoed and mingled despite the myriad of conversations taking place. Let's not forget the particular Sunday rituals when it came to appearances. It seemed that everyone took pride in their Sunday manners. Little girls, twirling around in their dresses, would parade their frilly skirts, while little boys would puff out their chests in their shinny, proudly buttoned-up shirts. You can almost see them now, the little girls' shoes shining gloriously beneath the sun, mirroring the smiles on their faces. Even Grandpa, who perhaps otherwise wore a flannel shirt every day, donned his best trousers and a blazer just to make the day special. It was devotion to family, to faith, to creating a day that mattered. You remember those afternoons that held a different kind of magic, don't you? The delightful sounds of cards shuffling as family gatherings would often turn into games of rummy, solitaire, or even the occasional game of bridge. The coffee pot would be filled with steaming brews, topped with a sprinkling of too sweet cream, as laughter and playful banter mixed with the click of the card deck. Even when the cards didn't go everyone's way, the true prize was the camaraderie, the shared moments that turned simple gatherings into cherished memories. Sundays were also a time for leisurely strolls, with mothers or fathers leading the way. Families would walk through neighborhoods, savoring the fresh air, gently navigating past picket fences and flower gardens bursting with color. I still remember the sight of budding roses and tulips lining the yards, fragrances intermingling beautifully in the air. Children would dart towards those blooming bushes, stopping to touch the velvety petals, filling their pockets with petals and scents to keep close. It was a bonding experience and a rite of passage, navigating the world safely while learning to appreciate nature's beauty. Stay with me as we explore the role of music that resonated during those Sundays too. Perhaps in the late afternoon, the soft strums of a guitar would drift from the porch of neighboring homes. Families might share homemade pies or a sweet lemonade, while the music wrapped around them, binding friends together in a cozy embrace. On occasion, someone might dance, perhaps your aunt in her Sunday best would twirl and sway, pulling you in for a spin, giggles escaping your lips like confetti. Those were the melodies of stability and joy. Do you remember the songs that filled your heart with warmth on those days? And what about the print on those newspapers? Certainly, the Sunday comics weren't the only thing filling the pages of that treasured publication. In an era before the age of the internet and digital media, families would huddle around to read the week's local announcements, hoping to catch up with everything from birth announcements to upcoming school events. You could almost hear the hushed tones and bursts of laughter as quirky stories navigated the daily lives of those in their community. Some homes even used their old newspapers for crafting, turning them into homemade decorations for the next holiday. It was another piece of shared creativity, where the mundane transformed into the beautiful. Now, let's also recall the art of writing letters. While Sundays were often a day celebrated with family, they were also a day dedicated to remembering those who were far away. Dads could be found with paper and pens, carefully crafting heartfelt letters to relatives or friends living in other states. There was something different about putting pen to paper, wasn't there? It felt intimate, a connection that transcended distance. Responses were awaited eagerly in the mailbox, creating waves of anticipation that made everyday life special. Another delightful thread woven through these Sundays was the cherished tradition of community gatherings. Many towns hosted picnics or gatherings in parks, complete with potlucks and friendly competitions. Oh, how those gatherings buzzed with energy. The air fragrant with barbecue smoke as families showcased their culinary prowess. You could almost taste the tang of freshly made potato salad or the sweetness of homemade pies that seemed to vanish in minutes. Children ran wild as games of tag erupted amidst neighbors' laughter, the innocence of youth painting the day with joy. As evening approached, homes filled with the warmth of the setting sun, casting long shadows across the floors. Families would settle down for a quiet evening, matching pajamas, bowls of popcorn, and perhaps a classic movie lighting up their living room. It was a time to unwind together, a gentle way to transition into a new week. You could hear the crackle of the popcorn as it popped, and the familiar tunes of older films whisking you away into narratives that felt both comforting and exciting. As we reflect on the serenity of Sunday evenings, allow yourself to revel in the collective sigh of relief as the clock struck 8 o'clock. The cadence of bedtime rituals commenced, teeth brushed, goodnight kisses, and perhaps even a soft lullaby hummed by a mother's gentle voice. There was grace in those moments, a tender nod to the care and love that infused everyday life. As we reminisce about those simple, yet heartfelt experiences, I encourage you to consider how much the essence of those Sundays still lingers in our hearts. How can we capture that spirit of community, togetherness, and reflection in our lives today? Let's continue the conversation in the comments, share your thoughts, and those little snippets of Sundays that stay with you. Let's rekindle those memories that, like cherished photographs, continue to remind us of richer times. Though Sundays may not hold the same customs today as they did in 1955, the memories and lessons they impart remain vibrant within us. The essence of pauses, family, and unwavering love still stirs in our hearts. So let's hold on to that Sunday spirit, embracing moments of peace and togetherness, and carry forward the rhythm that unites us all. In a world that often rushes ahead, perhaps we can learn to reclaim some of that simplicity, breathing in the quiet for a while longer.